I, together with my partner Stephen Hobbs, I run an organization called the Trinity Session. The Trinity Session is an entity, is a kind of artist collective and collaborative program and project that looks at finding new opportunities for artists in South African context and internationally. As I said, the Trinity Session is an organization that does all kinds of projects to develop the industry, because we know that the industry doesn't work. Any art industry in Africa doesn't work. If you analyze it using a value chain system to analyze an industry, you can see that there are gaps every part of the value chain, and you can actually realize that there's huge problems between what people want and what they get, all of those things. So other industries are successful, the art industry isn't, so why is that the case? So we as artists use our own skill, our own research, our own interest area to sometimes make those connections for ourselves. So Stephen and I were looking at audiences and looking at the city of Johannesburg and how we interact with the city. And we were walking through the city a few years ago, taking photographs for some public artworks that we wanted to put up. And we were just photographing outside Hillbrow, which is quite a dangerous neighborhood in Johannesburg. And we were busy kind of snapping away like we always do through our lens. And a big, kind of huge black Senegalese, well, I think he was Senegalese, but French-speaking man walks up to us. And in French, I don't know why, but in French, it's not one of our official languages, he says, you can take photos here, but don't go into that quartier, that's dangerous, you must stay here. And I understand a bit of French, and I looked at him and I said, why are you speaking French to me? And it was really interesting because, first of all, he treated me like a tourist, and he spoke French to us, so he obviously had a certain association of who we are. And then we realized that maybe we are tourists. Maybe with all of these Africans that are moving into Johannesburg and into South Africa from all other parts of Africa, our city is being taken over by other people, and that we no longer have the same identity with the space. We know that the city is already transformed, and in terms of the apartheid era, it's changed. The city has become a place of new energies, new movements, new types of audiences. It's no longer that kind of Western city grid. It's now a much more organic, underground, amazing space. But we never realized that someone would speak to us in French. So we were then invited to do a project for the fringe component of the Dakar Biennale, the off program of the Dakar Biennale. And we were thinking about, well, this is a French-speaking country. There are a lot of Senegalese in South Africa, and we had this experience. And this experience led us to think about, let's speak to the Senegalese people in Hillbrow and in other parts of the city, and let's find out how they remember Dakar to be. Let us be their tourists. And so we went to them and we spoke to them. We asked them to tell us stories. They drew us maps, beautiful hand-drawn maps of their city and where we should go and who we should visit, little streets that we never found, and just whole stories. And then we took only those maps, no other research, only those maps, and we landed in Dakar and we followed those routes and we tried to find our way through Dakar and navigate the city. Obviously we took a lot of photographs, obviously we got lost, obviously we made a lot of friends, it was all part of that, but that social experience was really important. And we had a little exhibition where we showed the process, where we invited everyone from the taxi driver to the person that we bought food from, everybody to come to a big party that we had in Dakar. And we had a really amazing connection with people. And then we came back here, and the project was really well received. Some publications came out of it, some conference papers came out of it. But the most important thing that came out, and no one really knows that this happened, is that we had a party in Hillbrow, in a nightclub, in a Congolese nightclub, where we asked some Senegalese guys to make us food. There's a few chefs that Senegalese chefs that live in Hillbrow. Also underground, they have their little kitchen on a gas stove somewhere. And they made us these plates of food. We brought some Senegalese music, obviously all pirated. And we showed on a projector in this nightclub to about 50 Senegalese people our experience. And the response was the most amazing thing. They jumped up, they danced, they spoke about the pictures, they ate the food. The one guy almost started crying because he hadn't seen these home for 12 years. And it was an amazing interaction that you can't have with foreigners in South Africa because there's such a xenophobia. There's xenophobia is so large because, first of all, the foreigners come here and they know that they're taking jobs from South Africans. There's that component, but then there's also a lot of illegal immigrants. So they don't want to communicate because they're scared that they will be recognized and thrown out. And they didn't mind us taking photographs of them at the end. They really understood that we were there just to share. And that connection, as I said, it's not something that happens in the art world. That's something that happens because we believe in finding out more about the city through interaction like that. And the amount that we learned through that one night of interaction with these people is something that's invaluable.